People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. Now, Arsenal just defeated Sheffield United 2-1. I'm going to watch the game back in a bit. But following the first time round of me watching it, we might as well speak about the player ratings or review the players' performances. Now, for me, on many hands, I feel it was a good performance. Not an amazing, I feel it was a good performance. Obviously, I think we second half we turned it around. First half, I think we played well. We just didn't have that added sort of zip to warrant breaking down Sheffield United and scoring. Now, creativity and the lack of shots were the same themes in this game as they have been for the last, not just the games this season, but last season as well. So there are many things for us to learn. I didn't want to lose this game at all, people, because Sheffield can't buy a point. They can't score. We had to be the first team this season to allow them to score, but we walked away with the 3 points. We've got Man City after the international break, so that made these 3 points even more important. I know we beat Liverpool in the week and it's a good moment winning on penalties, but the last test we had in relation to a top team, we lost to Liverpool, so we needed to give ourselves some insurance going against Pep Guardiola's team, who who dropped points against Leeds. So they're going to be hungry for a victory when we face them. I'm going to start with Leno. I'll give Leno a 6. I don't think he had much to do. Watching the goal again, I didn't feel he was to blame. It was a clearance from Saka, and I don't think we closed down McGoldrick enough. Maybe if I watched that game again, I could ask a bit more of Leno, but I think Leno gets a 6. I think David Luiz gets a 6. I think he started off a bit slow, sloppy passes and whatnot, but I think he did alright towards the end, and he showcased some good passes. But I think his 6 is a fair reflection. I give Gabriel an 8. I think Gabriel was very good today. Obviously, there's a couple of, and one thing he needs to cut out, because it seems like that's a theme of his. Sometimes he'll play an under-hit pass, and he put Luiz under pressure in that moment where people are saying he could have been sent off for a tug. There was a couple of others. But, he put a foot in, he made some important blocks, some vital challenges. He showed his passing range, and he's still very raw. There are times he's going to have bad games and make silly decisions, but I think we've got a potential rough gem there. As we already know, I think he can be, a lot of the rough edges in his game can be polished very easily, and he is a very good defender. He's a very young one as well, and he seems like he's growing and he's fitted into the team very well. He's had 2 good games this week. He had a good game against Liverpool, he had a good game obviously today. Couldn't have asked more of Gabriel today, really. So I give him an 8. Like I said, I give Bellerin a 7. Now, I think Bellerin was on course for a 5. I feel there was no right-hand side from an Arsenal perspective in the first half, really. I think Willian was poor, and I think Bellerin tried to get forward, but the quality was lacking, and generally, from both players, nothing was enough. Second half, I saw it uptake. When I saw Pepe come on in particular as well, and Bellerin was involved in 2 of the goals, well, the only 2 goals, so I think there was a bit, it was elements of Bellerin's problems in the first half, but in the second half, for me, it was vintage Bellerin of sorts, and he was involved in the 2 goals, so I think a 7 is a fair result for him. I think Tierney had a good game. He didn't have the best of games against Liverpool, but I think he bounced back, and he also deserves to get a 7. I'll give El Nene a 6. I feel El Nene did alright today, really and truly. In fact, you know what? I think a 6, I don't think just because one man played poor and I give a 6 and the next man played well and I give a 6, it's not, the ratings aren't really susceptible, but I'll give El Nene a 7 to be fair, man. Obviously, El Nene's never going to be the most creative tool in the midfield box, is he? He's never going to be able to cut teams open, so to a degree I don't judge him on that. But from what I know from El Nene, I think he was alright. He won the ball when he needed to win the ball. He recycled the ball well. What I liked as well in the first half, even when we weren't cutting open teams, he was covering the right-hand side from a midfield perspective. I think El Nene's done alright this season when he's been thrown in and given opportunities. The only bad thing I've seen El Nene do is midweek when he missed that penalty. So I'm giving, he's on course for a 6, but I'm going to give El Nene a 7 because I think he was calm today. Going to give Bukayo Saka an 8. If you had to push me, I think the best players on the field for me anyways was Bukayo Saka, Danny Ceballos and Gabriel. Tierney not far behind them. Saka, he scored, he deserved his goal. I think he won a lot of fouls. He must have a lot of bruises and kicks, and hopefully he's able to wear off the pain of that, because next week he'll be reporting for England duty. But he won a lot of fouls. He was, he was drifting from, he was swapping positions with Willian. He was drifting inside and being very narrow in the game. He led from the front. He looked like he was going to be involved in a goal. And, I didn't think he'd score ahead. We don't attribute many headed efforts to Saka, but he deserved his goal and he leads from the front. And it's lovely. He's a consistent man. I've got so much confidence in Saka. He seems to get more confidence and self-belief every game he plays, and it's testament to his development. It feels like he's been in this team for 10 years. He feels like a veteran, and there are still a lot of elements out of his game to be polished, but, you know, he's a good player, so I think he's on course to get an 8, man. Danny Ceballos, I give an 8, all action, you know, second half, I was enjoying the passes and whatnot. I actually feel he looked like he was on it, man. I'm really liking Danny Ceballos, and it would be lovely if we did get Aouar and Partey, which isn't going to happen, and then, you know, Ceballos in that mix as well. Or just another midfielder with Ceballos, I think, could be good, you know. And I know Xhaka is in the conversation as well. But I'll give Ceballos an 8. I think he was good. Willian, I think there was a reaction in the second half, and he was involved in one of the goals. So for me, I give Willian a 6. I don't feel he had the best of games. I actually feel he's quite anonymous. I feel he done well to stay on as long as he did. He's been a bit iffy in the last couple of games now, really. And with Pepe coming off the bench, you have to imagine he's putting pressure on Willian to start in relation to the next game. But to be fair to Willian, second half he was involved. You know, he started passing the ball around, getting onto it more, becoming more of a creative hub. But I think a 6 is a fair performance. I'll give Aubameyang a 6 as well. Potentially could change that to a 7. I think he worked. In fact, man, I'll give Aubameyang a 7. He was involved in one of the goals. He worked hard. You know, he had one effort. I just feel he looked better. We looked better as a team when Aubameyang moved in the middle in this game. It just weren't meant to be. And ironically, he hasn't scored since he signed that new deal. So yeah, man, I think Aubameyang did alright, man. Really, I think Aubameyang worked hard. Give Eddie Nketiah a 6 as well. He worked his socks off, but I think he was a bit anonymous today. He was a bit quiet. It weren't a game for him. Before we took the lead in the second half, I was thinking, you know, is it a game for Lacazette? Because it looks like we need more of a physical presence. It's not that he played poor, it's just it weren't a game for him. In relation to the subs, realistically, Pepe weren't on long enough, but, you know, if I had to give him a rating, you'd have to give him a 10. He's come off the bench and had a part to play in 2 of the goals. He's come off the bench and, in a positive way, done what I've said in that stick 2 fingers up at Arteta. Make Arteta question if he's stupid for not starting you. And, you know, Willian, you shouldn't flip-flop on Willian, and neither should Arteta, but, you know, we've got a lot of good competition for these wide options, and that's what I like. And to be fair, forgive me if I'm wrong, Willian didn't play well against West Ham, definitely didn't play well against Liverpool, reacted in the second half but was quite anonymous in this game, if I'm honest. Pepe's come off the bench and done well. You know, Arteta's got a decision to make going into that Man City game. You know, does Willian come out? You know, he could be moved into another role or whatever. So yeah, I think Xhaka did alright when he come on, but obviously not enough to get a rating. But I just have to mention it was his clearance that led to the goal. Maitland-Niles didn't have long enough, but I feel Maitland-Niles he weren't bad, but I was thinking, I had a couple heart and mouth moments. Like towards the end of the game, he's trying to chest it down and he's almost lost it. I was thinking, Maitland, please, bro, please, we need that Maitland-Niles of midweek, sort of. But we get over the line. If I had to give our manager a rating, I'd give a 7. I feel whatever he did in the second half in terms of changing the system and whatever he specifically told the players worked very well. But, you know, the one criticism you'll say is, as a team, we're just not shooting enough and we're not creating enough, and it's not sustainable. It looks good, you know, because we've had hardly any shots, grabbed 2 goals. You know, against Liverpool on Monday, it comes across as toothlessness. So there is still a lot to work on. There is a lot for our boys to learn, but 3 wins from 4 Premier League games going into the international break, and an even tougher period in which we'll be playing in no order Manchester City, Leicester City and United. I can't complain. Better second half. Obviously we just needed 3 points. We needed 3 points to bounce back from Monday. We needed 3 points as insurance when the international break is over. We'll be playing City. We got over the line. You know, I don't think we were poor. First half we needed to up it, and I can't really complain, people. But on that note, DG, I'm out, and you just randomly heard my TV.